Hey there, and welcome to the 50th episode of Comedians on Technology, People and Drugs. I'm, as always, your host, Sam Joseph, and today we're very lucky to have a special guest, comedian Denzil de Cristo, with us. Hey, Denzil, it's really great to have you on the show. Thanks so much for sharing your time.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure, Sam.
Now, Denzel, you're a very funny person, and I think, well, they always tell us to speak to the audience as if they're one listener. We may only have one listener. Let's call them Bert this week. And I think Bert is beside himself, wanting to try and understand your comedy origin story. Was it that you were the daughter of the son of misgendered you,
Yeah.
the son of a comedy doctor on a comedy spaceship going around the galaxy, getting into scrapes? How did it all kick off?
Well, I think actually I started my comedy journey by mistake. So, I mean, I've always been interested in it. And then suddenly on Facebook, it flashed up an advert one day and it sort of said, do you want to learn how to be a comedian? Do you want to do this 8 week course, raising money for cancer research? And at the end of the way, 8 week course, you get to do some comedy. I thought, you know what, I'm interested. Let's find out some more details. So I said, yeah, please email me some information. I said, congratulations, you're going to be performing at the Glee in Nottingham in 8 weeks' time. I went, ah! But luckily, I loved it. So that's how I actually fell into it. But I've been besotted by comedy from a very early age. I remember watching Jasper Carrot when I was about 8 years old. I was back on the TV a lot at that
Mm.
point, and I was loving all his stuff. Always been a huge fan of the old sitcoms as well. In fact, I think there was a Laurel and Hardy cartoon when I was about 4 or 5. And I didn't know who they were or anything about that, but I really enjoyed the cartoon at the time. Then I found out about the silent movies later on and everything. I suppose I'm sounding like I'm misaging myself. I am 48, so it's not like
Oh, young, young.
they weren't black and white cartoons I was watching.
Yeah, I think a little bit younger than me, and I very much remember Jasper Carrot on the
Yeah,
television. I don't know that I really understood it as stand up at the time. It was just, I mean, I was sort of like completely addicted to the television, would
yeah.
watch everything and everything. But yes, I do very much remember enjoying him and Laurel and Hardy. And wow, and so this FB advert, or sorry, the Facebook advert just sort of
Uh,
leapt up, and so
yeah.
and that was then sort of like a comedy course that
It
you
was
did.
it was ultra comedy. So
Mm.
we did 8 weeks of training, and obviously for any comedy training, you should be training in the best possible environment, shouldn't you? We trained in a boxing gym.
Right.
Yeah, we had people in the next room eating the seven bells of crap out of each other and everything. So at least I learned my punchlines.
Right. Very good. Very, very
Uh,
good. Yeah, yeah.
uh,
It's well, and it's interesting because I've seen, I mean, we book a lot of folks for our nights, and occasionally people will share their videos and their ultra comedy, and it has the sort of
yeah.
like, four things. It's like cage fighting, like wrestling with bears.
Uh,
Finally, and then
uh,
comedy. It's an interesting
yeah,
set to be
yeah,
put in with, isn't it?
it is, yes. And it was the first time they'd done it in Nottingham. It was the only venue they knew about was a boxing gym where they did their normal boxing training. So it's like, yes, that makes a lot of sense. Middle of summer, and there we were. It was a very hot room. 2 to 3 hours of comedy every Wednesday night,
Hmm.
and we were just glad to escape to the pub at the end of it.
Yeah, yeah, amazing. And I presume it was sort of a professional comedian was running the
Yeah,
course, and then there was just the usual comedy course thing
yeah,
where you had 8 to 12 people from different walks of
yeah.
life all kind of thinking, we'll give it a try.
That's it. Yeah, so I think there were 18 of us to start off with,
Oh, really?
and then it whittled down, and there were 11 of us by the time we actually got through to the final 8 weeks.
Right.
And I'm the only one still going.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah,
So
well, that's yeah. There's definitely that whittling down. I
yeah,
think
yeah,
is a common experience.
yeah.
And had you at the point at which you saw the advert, I mean, had you done other kinds of performance beforehand? Was what?
Yeah, I suppose in a way, yes, I had because I was a DJ,
Oh, okay.
and I started off as a DJ in just in the clubs, sort of right around Nottingham and Manchester, and then I started going doing a few little festivals, and I
Mm.
was DJing at a festival called Bearded Theory,
Hmm.
and they invited me to be the kids DJ as well. And on the back of that, I started doing some walkabouts. So I had this character I came up with. My friend suggested at Glastonbury Festival a few years back. I think it was about 2013. They really wanted to dress up as slutty grannies. And I didn't
Okay.
really want to be a slutty granny. I wanted to
No.
be a glamorous granny.
Uh-huh.
So the next year, I came out of my tent dressed as the Queen,
Oh.
and they went, "Oh, didn't we tell you we're not doing that?" But this costume, it was a very basic costume. It was just a pair of sunglasses which had a crown on top of it, a white wig, and a dress and a sash.
Hmm.
and some gloves, and it went down an absolute storm. I'd be going up to the stalls asking for drinks and getting the staff to curtsy before they actually served me, in regards to their gender. I think I tried to commandeer a police officer's bike on the basis he worked for me.
Right,
The
right.
response was so good that the next year I went back with a far better costume. And then the
Mm.
following year, I took that to other festivals I was going to anyway. And so that developed into a character, a comedy character,
Hmm.
without me actually doing any performance.
Oh.
And so about a year after I'd started stand-up comedy, I brought Queen Elizabeth onto the stage as a proper fully developed character. Now I do a annual Christmas speech. Although obviously Queen Elizabeth has now retired. I've had to retire that act. However,
Mm.
her son and heir of the dog, King Charles Spaniel III, is very much active.
Brilliant, brilliant. Well, that's what a wonderful story. And you mentioned the term walkabout there in passing. Like, is that a sort of that's a kind of like a given thing that DJs occasionally do? I haven't.
No, it's something which people do at festivals where you often get paid performers to walk about a festival dressed up in costume and
Um,
interacting with the audience. I was doing it completely for free just for the love of it.
right,
But, uh,
right,
but but I started off because when I was doing the kids' disco, I was always dressing up in costume. I was thinking,
right.
there's always going to be a themed disco. I'm always going to need a costume to go with that. And I've got an attic full of costumes because my housemate, he designs costumes. So I was like, right, I've got a ready theme, constant things I can actually dress up as. And then I'll be always walking around in costumes as well as DJing in them and just making the most of the time.
Right, amazing. Well, I've got a whole. I mean, I used to be very into costumes. I was teaching. I was running a coding boot camp, and we were having these. What are they called? Graduations every 6 weeks. And there was a thing where we'd all dressed up for one Halloween, and then it was supposed to follow on where everyone was going to dress up for Christmas, and then only I did it, and I carried on, and that all ended a bit badly. But it's sort of completely separate
Yeah.
from my comedy career. But
Yeah.
that's amazing that it's worked out so well. Sorry, go on.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, you need to go start wearing your costumes on stage again, don't you?
Well,
Resurrect them.
I think I am actually now. So my late I do now have a costume for my latest. I'm going to Edinburgh this year with.
Oh,
I think I'm turning Japanese. I really think so. Not, and I have an antique silk kimono
oh,
that I'm
brilliant.
wearing for that. So it's on the way. It's on the way back. But it sounds like from that. The background there that doing stand-up comedy was not necessarily such a big leap for you. Like the
No,
reason it's in the ultra thing is for a lot of people, it's like,
yeah,
oh my God, I could never possibly do that. But it sounds like it was always
yeah.
always on the radar. It wasn't such a big
I
jump for
think
you.
so. Yeah. And I think the other thing which actually I did when I did a bit of performing before, I was on the X Factor.
Oh,
Now
really?
this was back in 2005. Now it's the
Wow.
second series of the X Factor.
Uh-huh.
The first series of the X Factor, I don't know if you remember, there was a guy who worked as a chicken plucker.
Right.
And he was absolutely terrible. But he was so bad that they invited him back to the final, and everyone knew about him. My friends watched the show and went, Denzel, your singing is worse than that. Your singing is terrible. You've got to go on. So I went to the NEC in Birmingham. My friends actually came along to support me. For the first audition, I I uh, I, I did okay. But it was just in front of the producers. Second audition, I again in front of producers, and they then said to me, "Have you got a second song?" And I didn't because I
Right.
thought my first song is so terrible. The second song's irrelevant, really. But
Ah.
and this was even though it's back in 2005, I just had enough internet capability on my phone at
Mm.
that point to actually download the lyrics to another song. So I read it off the screen,
Mm.
and I was in front of Simon Cowell in the afternoon,
Wow.
so I had to scribble the lyrics on a piece of paper. So you can find the YouTube clip of me singing "It's a Kind of Magic" by Queen, singing it off a sheet of paper. And the look on Sharon Osbourne's face is classic. So I'm still dining out on that story 21 years later.
Wonderful. We'll have to get a link to that in the show
Yeah,
notes. Oh,
yeah.
brilliant. Wow, wow. And then yeah, so a strong performance background, but then doing the comedy, like, oh yeah, I'll give that a go. How was that first was it showcase show at the Glee Club in Nottingham when you first did it with the other 11
Uh,
or the 11 of you?
yeah, that was good. I mean, actually, we were a little bit naughty because although it was supposed to be our first gig, we put on a couple of our own gigs as practice in a
Um,
friend's pub. So I'd actually done 3 gigs by the time I did the Glee.
oh yeah.
But that very first ever gig in front of about 12 people, not, who were about 6 or 7 of them weren't actual comedians, and they
Mm.
laughed. That was the moment I got addicted. I've
Mm.
been interested beforehand, but that's the key moment for me. That
Right.
first bit of laughter, it's like, I've got to get that feeling back. These jokes actually work. So, But yeah,
Yeah.
no, the Glee was good because it was in front of about 200, 250 people, most of whom were there solely because they knew one of the acts.
Yeah.
So it's not a genuine audience,
No,
but
no.
everyone's really supportive.
Mm.
And I think we made the mistake of it was quite getting quite drunk. Yeah, we were in the green room at first, and then we were coming out to watch our friends on the balcony, and we were told, "Don't go and talk to your friends downstairs. Just watch the show from up here." And so we were doing, apart from we were sneaking off to the bar or going getting more drinks, and
Mm,
yeah.
mm,
So I think it's probably one of the drunkest I've ever been at a comedy gig. I was the one before me. Luckily, I was on fourth, so I wasn't too drunk when I went on
right.
stage, so I
Yeah,
survived
yeah.
it.
But and all for cancer, all for a great,
Oh yeah,
cancer research.
absolutely,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
fantastic, fantastic. And but it's interesting you mentioned that thing that you're getting some laughs from those jokes from a room full of people, and there is something very well. It doesn't seem to affect everybody to a different degree. A lot of the comedians we've spoken to, have done this course and they have a similar story about the showcase show. And some, it's they maybe don't want to leap into it immediately and then maybe come back to it after a little while or some other, other things happen. But I guess I mean, I'd love to hear anything more that any other thoughts that you have on the addictive nature of that, and then and also how were you then out rushing out to open mics to get fixes immediately afterwards, or
I think early on, our group we stayed together and we actually tried to set up our own comedy nights.
oh really?
So it was about 4 or 5 of us would be sort of like putting on a night, and so we'd be doing a comedy gig once every month or so.
Hmm.
But and then we popped down to London. There was a homeless charity, so we camp out in cardboard boxes in London near Wembley,
Hmm.
and they had a professional comedian on stage, but we were doing a little bit of the early comedy as well. I ended up doing about a 15-minute set, and I included doing my X Factor story, my singing and everything, and trying to get the crowd really geared up. Stuff I
Mm.
was way no, about gig number 9 or 10. I was not
Mm.
ready to be doing that sort of stuff, but it was
Mm.
like
Mm.
I just thought I'm on a huge stage. People don't know what's going on. The MC was one of the other comedians who's done as many gigs as me,
Yeah.
and is a bit bizarre. I might as well try to warm the crowd up and get them going. And then the next act said, "Oh, I'll go on later on if that's all right." So I was like, warm the crowd up, and then it was like, "No, nothing." So,
Mm. Mm.
but,
Mm.
but it was still fun to do that. And then a few months later, I actually started branching out, trying to do a couple of gigs myself.
Oh yeah.
And I think that was so about 9 months into the comedy career, I actually got a gig which wasn't arranged by one of my friends,
Right.
and that felt like the next step. That's why I
Okay.
felt like a proper comedian.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And okay, so it sounds like so the showcase it was like, oh yeah, there is a feeling here that I like. I
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
repeat this. But it was sort of it wasn't like I need to have this every night so much as
no,
like, I have this here and there. And then yeah, it's sort of like it was, some sort of random things. But then, well, tell me more. Perhaps we'll lead into the next question pretty soon. But like, how has it gone since then? What's the frequency with which you're gigging? What kind of gigs are you doing?
Well, since then, I've gone off and started up my own nights, and I now run a company called Den of Laughs.
Right.
It's got a couple of nights in the East Midlands area. I'm involved heavily in a writing group, East Midlands Comedy Writers, as well, where I
Oh,
help out the next generation of comedians.
brilliant.
And I run a lot of venues at the East Midlands Comedy Festival, so Nottingham, Derby, Leicester, going to Buxton Fringe for the first time running a venue there
Right.
this year. So that's really where I'm at in terms of as a promoter. But I'm a regular MC, emceeing 3, 4 times a month, often my own nights, occasionally
Sure.
guest spots at other people's, paid gigs at other people's. And on top of that, I think last year I did about 160 gigs, but that's because I went to Edinburgh.
Right.
So Edinburgh was the vast majority of those.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
uh, whereas this year I'm hoping to get to Edinburgh, but I haven't got anything guaranteed as yet. So
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, obviously, it's a big
yeah,
expense.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, oh wow. I'm really excited to hear because I mean, I've sort of got my own, production company
yeah.
now, which is called Hilarity Unlimited UK, and we run three different gigs in London. And yeah, I mean, well, it's these, it's the admin and the sort of the management of all of that is kind of I'm often torn between is this taking me away from the comedy that I want to be doing or is it enabling the comedy that I want to be doing? I guess
Yeah.
like how do you manage the huge load that comes
Yeah,
with doing
it certainly does take a far more time to do the admin, especially sort of like the adverts and the all the social media posts and everything which you have to do. So I'm just doing a digital marketing course at the moment just
oh
to
really?
really improve that. And it's a free
Mm,
course for the self-employed.
Oh,
The other thing,
really?
I quit my job I was working as a social worker nurse for 20 years, and I reached the end of my tether with that, and
Okay.
I was coming up for 2 years ago. So I
Mm,
just thought, right, I'm going to have a take a break, take a career break, see if I can make the comedy work, see if I can make it pay.
right.
Can't quite yet, but I am on making strides towards that. So I'll be helping run a comedy course for with a colleague, and he set it up and he's just bringing it into the East Midlands. So I'll get some money out of that as well, and also I think as a promoter, that's where the money is at the moment rather than as a performer. So
Mm, very interesting. Oh, well, I would love, yeah, let's get the digital
yeah,
marketing course link in the
yeah,
show
yeah,
notes. That's really interesting. Yeah, well, and all power to you taking the leap to kind of like try and turn it into a full-time thing. That's absolutely fantastic. Yeah, yeah. Well, and so I think that actually then potentially segues quite nicely into our second question,
yeah,
which is how is technology affecting your life and your comedy? And as I often say on the podcast, by technology couldn't be anything, from like like I think writing things down, that's a technology.
yeah,
I mean, there's the latest AI models, there's what we're
yeah.
doing on social media. But yeah, I'm really interested in how you're using that both for the admin and then also how to come up with great jokes and get them on
Yeah.
stage.
Well, I think actually, the best story I've got on that is I bought myself an Apple Watch,
Oh yeah.
and I thought this is going to be ideal for the timing, and I knew you could actually record things on there. So I thought if I need to record a little note or record my set, because I was trying to do some audio recordings of my sets while I was on stage,
Mm,
and often I'd leave the phone upside down videoing, so it'd be a
mm,
blank screen, but I'd be able to hear it back, and I thought it'd be better if it was on stage. But as soon as I found out it had the recording function, I started playing around with it. It can actually play things out as
mm.
well. So I would record something, and then I came up with a couple of jokes off the back of that about AI and is AI stealing a comedian's job?
Right.
Yeah, because lots of people were worried about this, and uh, and then I got an AI voice to actually come up with a joke, and that's now
Mm.
developed into saying, "Chat GPT, tell me a joke."
Right, right.
Uh, and and from that, that developed into an entire comedy show which I
Mm.
took to Edinburgh for the last couple of years, called Artificially Intelligent Procrastinating Pundit.
Ah.
So that's the name of the show. It's got some of this. I've stopped using the watch now because it's very
Uh-huh.
difficult to actually put the microphone next to it. It's very fiddly, gets in the
Mm.
way. What I do sometimes use is the phone. In fact, what I can do very quickly, I'm going to see whether this works. I'm going to play you the joke. This is what ChatGPT has come up with for
Mm.
its best ever joke. Let's see what you think of this.
Mm.
1 0 1 1 1 0 0 1. And that's its best one-liner. So that's how I started it off, and it's just developed into there. Now I've got I'm using my iPad with all the links on it,
Mm.
but then I'm also talking about having a sex robot and what it'd
Oh,
be like
really?
having an artificially intelligent girlfriend and all
Hmm.
the sort of random things. So little jokes developed from that. So it all started. A lot of this show started simply me buying a watch,
Right, right. Amazing.
and then
Go on.
so yeah, so that's just the creative spark for that. And so yes, I do use an iPad quite a bit
Mm.
within my comedy these days for these sound clips. And I keep on trying to work out how to improve it as well. I think I'm
Right.
going to start doing some PowerPoint presentations for my next show, which is going to be more about talking about my travels and photos for my travels with funny
Um,
stories attached and see how that works as well. And
brilliant.
I do use AI as writing prompts as well,
Oh, yeah.
especially for my writing group. I'm thinking, what exercises can we come up with which we haven't done before? So I'll get
Mm.
AI to come up with a list of about 20 or 30, and then I cherry pick the ones which I think are going to work the best, and then adapt to
Yeah.
them.
Brilliant. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Interesting. Oh, well, amazing. You're, a man after my own heart. Just like my well, no, my cardiovascular surgeon. The yeah, because I bought an Apple Watch about 3 or 4 years ago to help with emceeing, and I use that when I'm emceeing to one. It's sort of like so. What I usually have is I have the video running, and it's like I've got that appearing on the
Yeah,
watch, and
yeah.
then that basically means that's the time and I can see it's being recorded and then I basically we'll stop it and it basically means then at the end of the show I've got cut up like the 10 videos ready to
Oh,
share with everybody
oh,
if they want them. Yeah, although it's I mean I've tried to do a few things with the Apple Watch. I've kind of got a bit frustrated with with it. It's but you're being much more creative with it. I had also done, and I did this is a year ago now. I did a double act on stage with ChatGPT with it in its voice mode,
Yeah,
not pre-recorded.
yeah,
Actually, this, that, and the other.
yeah,
But I was a bit like, I don't know if I want this robot taking my stage time. I want to
yeah,
be the one telling the
yeah.
jokes.
Yeah, that's it. So I'm very clear within it that it's ChatGPT which has made this joke, but it's not. It's all my writing that, which
Right,
it is.
right.
But it's just and some people do sort of like say, "Oh, you should be using AI." But I'm thinking, I'm not. I'm taking the piss out of the fact that I'm doing it.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Oh, fantastic. Oh, well, well, I would really love to have seen that show, but I guess will that, I mean, that show having been done at Edinburgh,
yeah.
would that be, would you perform that again at
Oh
some
yes,
point?
yeah.
Yeah.
The plan is to take it back to Edinburgh. That's my hope was to take it to Edinburgh this year because last year I was out at a venue which is just a little bit out the way. So about
Okay.
I only got to do about 13 out of the 22 spots I was supposed to do.
Oh, really?
So it was a bit disappointing, just lack of audience. But I got a 4-star review,
Brilliant.
so I thought I want to take it and actually get an audience of more than 4 people, sort of thing.
Yes,
So,
yes.
so
Well, I'm definitely in Edinburgh this year,
yeah,
and if you're there, I will come and
yeah.
see your show.
Oh,
Yeah.
brilliant! That's good. Yeah,
Wonderful, wonderful.
yeah. And
Brilliant. And
likewise, of course.
thanks very much. Yes,
There we
yes.
go. It's an audience of one for both our
There we
shows.
go.
So that's it. Yeah,
That's better than nothing. Better than nothing. I mean, I mean, on the technology side, I mean, last year I did a lot of virtual reality comedy, and
yeah,
so last year my show, which I didn't take to, but went to Brighton and Leicester and
yeah.
Tunbridge Wells, was my comedy Booby Trap,
Yeah.
which I basically perform simultaneously in virtual reality and real reality at the
Okay.
same time. And so yeah, I'm all so excited about
Yeah,
that technology. But yeah, using the pre-recorded stuff,
yeah,
yeah, I mean that to great effect. And so right, so you're using the technology in the show. I'm really
yeah,
interested that you were saying about using it for writing prompts for the things.
yeah.
What technology is involved when you're kind of coming up with the ideas? Is it's all in the mind, but are you rigorously writing them down on paper or putting them down in Google Docs or what?
I put them straight onto I've got an Apple Mac, so it's on their pages.
Pages.
So
Oh
so
yeah.
it's so I'll take it straight from ChatGPT. I'll cut that onto the pages and stick it in there, and then I can write straight onto that. I'm a firm believer in typing over handwriting because I can't read my own handwriting.
Right.
So,
Right.
well, I've got dyspraxia, so my handwriting, when I try to write quickly, it gets
Mm,
messier and messier, and my hand starts hurting. So I want to get things
mm.
down. I want to get them down by typing.
Right. Right.
And often our writing groups, we do that over Google Meet. We would have done it over Zoom, but I couldn't justify the cost.
No,
So
no, sure. So good. Okay. Right. And then the writing group and you're sort of chatting and you're just as you're chatting
yeah,
along, you're kind of typing into your iPad or
yeah. I
into your
was
computer.
normally what we'll be doing is I tell people what the suggestion is. I say you've got 10 minutes to write something based on this idea. See what
Mm,
you come up with, and then we'll give each other feedback on what we've come up with. And
brilliant.
then we sort of like we mute the computer, mute everything, turn the camera off, do our 10 minutes of writing. I give people a count. I'll say right, 1 minute to go, and then we go through what we've written and see whether there is anything funny in that. And sometimes I say, right, go away and edit it and see whether we come up with anything even better. Or sometimes
Mm,
I just say, let's move on to the next topic,
right.
depending on
Right.
how we feel at that time. But the idea is more to just get people writing on a regular basis. You don't necessarily come up with a gem of an idea in that writing session, but at least you're doing some creative writing, and then you can go away later on and use similar exercises on the topic you want to write about.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, and that, I think, as you say, the discipline there of making sure that you're carving out time to do that
Yeah,
is kind of the key because it's
yeah,
if you don't, it's easy that life kind of just intrudes and then
yeah,
you're not doing the thing. I mean,
yeah.
I'm kind of behind with my. I'm supposed to write 10 jokes a day, and well, I've been doing it pretty reliably, although I'm now 3 days behind. But that's another story. But so out of interest, then for you, do you find that most of the things that you that come on that you end up putting on stage that they're ones that have come out of these sorts of writing sessions or is it just like random thoughts in the shower that you need to
I
hurry to
I think
write
it
down?
sometimes it's random thoughts in the shower. Sometimes it's random thoughts just as I'm drifting off to sleep.
Mm,
One of my favorite jokes I came up with when I was about 5 minutes after falling asleep, and I woke up straight away, wrote it down, and it's still my
mm,
closing joke.
mm,
So
mm.
you might hear that later.
Fantastic,
Uh,
fantastic.
but I just thought I've got to do that. And then other times, what I often do is whilst I'm driving to a gig, I'll be
Mm,
rehearsing my set.
yeah.
And that's again where the Apple Watch comes in. I'll be rehearsing my set and I'll come up with a topper or a new topic to talk about. And I'll stick
Mm,
it the record function on the Apple Watch whilst I'm driving.
right.
Just record it down. And then when I listen back to it, I sometimes hear that actually someone cut me up whilst I was trying to record it, and all you hear is me swearing at someone. But I think won't use that bit on stage. But yeah, the nub of an idea. And often I don't even check the recordings because the very act of recording it
Yeah.
makes me remember.
Right, right. Yes, and
So
that's really interesting because I hadn't actually realized that the Apple Watch could do recordings. I mean,
yeah,
I use the voice notes function on my iPhone
yeah,
to record a lot of things. Right.
yeah.
Yeah,
It links in. It's the same app.
the same app.
So
It's just
yeah, so
voice notes
basically,
on there.
the voice note you record on the watch will then appear on your phone, on your iPad, and potentially on the computer as well. So it's like
Yeah.
it's easy to check.
Yeah. Oh, good stuff. Yes. Yes. So that makes sense. Yeah. I mean, I have this weird thing. I don't actually like wearing watches, and I tend to I have my Apple Watches. Like, if I'm going out to do a comedy gig or MC, I'll put it on. But otherwise, I'm like, no, I don't want this on my wrist. Ah, I don't want this on my. I don't know how
Uh,
actually.
See,
But
I never used to like them, but I'm a lover of stats. So as
right.
soon as I realized it could measure my heartbeat and it
Mm,
sort of like it could help me with my running and all this
hmm
sort of stuff, I'm gonna
mm,
be start fixating on what my stats are, and then I get fixated on what my sleeping stats are. So I
mm.
wake up and I don't go, have I had a good night's sleep? I go, I'll wait half an hour for the I'll watch the charge and tell me if I had a good night's sleep. And sometimes I look at it and go, no, I'm way more tired than it tells me I am. No, that's got to be wrong. Let me change the stats. Let's have a look at the options. No, that was a more realistic type sleep.
Well, there was an article in the New Scientist recently about how what you believe about how you sleep is actually has a strong influence on how tired you feel, which is kind of
Oh, yeah.
interesting stuff. I mean, well, technology. I'm interested in as well though. So like we've also got the social media and the admin and the so on. Like what other are you is technology helping? Is it hindering? Are you finding yourself doom scrolling? How's it all?
I sort of doom scroll, but not so much. I think 'cause I've always, I've got other things I want to be doing as well.
Mhm.
So yeah, often I'm sort of scrolling through comedy gigs. Should I apply for those in all the comedy forums? Nah, I can't be bothered, and I get distracted. It's so easy to get distracted on Facebook, isn't it?
Absolutely.
I mean, I go from Facebook to Instagram to emails, and I'm looking at my emails, going, "Why am I even staring at these? I'm not interested in these, but I wanted
Mhm.
something else to look at because Facebook's not giving me anything." So
Yes,
uh,
there's. I mean, we were talking about the addiction to the comedy thing. I think there's
yeah,
also I have like an addiction to sort of just messages more
yeah,
so than the actual just sort of like activity
yeah,
timelines. But the fact that I can receive messages on Facebook, on Insta, and then there's email and there's WhatsApp, and
yeah.
then there's all the different things, and I'm just like every little break, I'm in this kind of like I just love getting those messages and seeing those messages. It's like, ah. But are you like for the admin thing? I mean, are you using lots of like online spreadsheets or the I forget it's numbers is the thing on Mac or
Yeah, I stick to pages predominantly. But
oh,
what I've
okay.
started doing actually is to help me with my admin. I put my to-do list on ChatGPT.
Oh yeah.
I'll get it to write it because then it feels like it's call response. It's me telling it to what I need to be doing, and it's responding to me, and therefore it makes me want to do it more.
Oh
I think
really?
in the past when I was working as a manager and everything, they'd be
Yeah.
tell me what to do. So now ChatGPT acts as a managing assistant.
Interesting.
So,
Interesting.
so I bet then I can spend longer writing the to-do list and arguing with ChatGPT about where things should go than I do actually
Uh,
spending doing the list.
right,
So,
right, right.
but then again, you're still getting the response, so you're still getting messages. So in a way, you're forcing ChatGPT to give you messages. Therefore, ChatGPT becomes addictive.
Right. Yes. Yes. And so is that you've got for that I was wondering if there was some like special to-do list functionality that they'd rolled out, or is it just that you've got one conversation in
One
which is
conversation which is focused on that, and I've developed it into how I want the layout to be. So it does it every week, and anything which is outstanding, it puts in one box. The done gets in another box, and then gets deleted every week. And but I keep having to correct it 'cause sometimes it goes, "Oh, you did all that. I'm going to delete all those." So I said, "I didn't do all of that. I didn't tell you." So I get into an
uh,
argument with it sometimes. It probably would be easier just for me to create my own on pages.
right, right.
But
And
it's that
this is
response I seek sometimes. But
yeah.
I've also used it for my social media advertising campaign. I've been getting it to give me advice on the best strategies. So although I'm
Okay.
doing the digital marketing course now, before that, when I was looking at Leicester, I was like, how do I promote all these? I've got 30 shows at Leicester Comedy Festival. How can I promote all these different shows?
Mm.
Because we can't be using adverts for all the shows because they'll cannibalize the budgets. So which
Hmm.
shows do we advertise? How much do we advertise on them?
Hmm.
Like, give me ideas on the adverts. And my adverts used to be sort of really long. I used to really like doing a one minute long advert showcasing all the shows we've got going on. But no
Mm.
one's going to watch that.
Right.
So it's how do we cut it down into that give you a representation of what the gig's about,
Mm.
and then let me have a look elsewhere for information. So ChatGPT has been really helpful on finding all the information already online about advertising and breaking it down into a format I can follow.
Interesting. Fascinating. Well, I mean, and it makes me think of two things. Just going back to the ChatGPT, the to-do list. But so that is you're using ChatGPT in combination with a document. It's
Yeah,
maintaining a document, and
yeah,
then there's basically the conversation around the document. Okay, yeah, because I had seen that before. I hadn't used it so much. And then it's interesting on the. I mean, like for the advertising. I mean, we've tried all sorts of things in London to try and get more people into shows.
yeah,
And, at one point people have said, oh, you know what it is a meetup, right? You've got to go to meetup groups and you've got to make a deal with the person who's running the meetup group. This is a meetup group on cheese.
yeah,
You've got to run an evening for cheese lovers, do a dinner, do a show, this, that, and the other. That was apparently the thing. We bunged some people some money. It never really worked out.
yeah,
I mean, we've had some success with doing like targeted Instagram ads to people
yeah,
who are in the location of the show who say that they're comedy lovers,
yeah,
and we've got, I mean, but for for the amount of spend on the Instagram ads, for the number of
yeah.
people we get and the number of repeat visits, it's kind of like, is this really worth it? But it sounded like you had been doing actual videos. Is that like
Yeah.
short videos, and you've been sticking those
Uh,
on TikTok on YouTube? Is that right?
I've been sticking them on the Instagram and Facebook. So they're about 20 seconds long, 10, no,
Okay,
10 to 12 seconds long, and it basically features people laughing. That seems
right.
to be what works. If you
Hmm.
actually get people from your comedy night who are laughing, you can clearly see their faces. You can see a comedian on stage, and
Yeah.
every 2 to 3 seconds you change, and you have some details, a couple of words on the screen popping up, saying, free comedy show or comedy show tonight or comedy show on
Right.
Tuesday, and so people can see it's a nice fun event. Other people are enjoying that event.
Mm.
It's
Mm.
something which doesn't appear blatantly like an advert at first.
Right.
So that's the other key thing. You don't put a logo at the start; you put it at the end.
Right. Right.
So,
Interesting.
so that and the other things I've put up a couple of times is little clips of me emceeing. If we've got some really nice crowd work, if it's nice, short and pithy, I can just stick
Yes.
that up and see if that works as well. But I've not
Interesting.
tried that as a paid ad as yet. I think that'll work in the future.
Yeah. Okay. And that's really really interesting. And so you found that like boost then doing it as an advert is effectively it's a post that you boost.
Uh,
You found or different.
no, it's not. No, no, I use Ad Manager, so it's a proper advert.
Hmm.
I create the video as an advert and set it up, including targeting audience, and it can go on Facebook and Instagram
Okay.
as well. You've got to have to link your Facebook and Instagram accounts so it can go on both.
Right. Right. Yeah. Oh, interesting. Yeah, because I think what we've just been doing is just been like boosting the kind of like the poster for the show.
It doesn't work as well. The
Right.
stats are that a boosted post is one of the worst ways. That and the carousel. You've
Hmm.
got a carousel of images for the adverts. That it doesn't really seem to work. Whereas the video ads get lots of watches, but not necessarily a lot of people actually going to get tickets. But at least people get more awareness that way. And a
Yeah.
single image, probably of someone again, comedian on stage and someone laughing,
Yeah.
is a really good way of actually indicating. And again, it might be quite dull for some of your listeners, but using the 4:5 ratio.
Uh-huh.
So it's like a Facebook, Instagram post in portrait mode
Right.
is the way you want it. So it takes up more screen because most people are looking on their phone. You don't
Yeah.
get many people going on their computers these days on Facebook or Insta.
Right.
So it's got to be friendly for phones. Take up enough
Yes.
screen space for people to go, oh, that's interesting, rather than scrolling
Yeah.
past.
No, I mean, I think it's, and I have seen, in the part. I mean, there's some other shows in London who've got, and I've seen some of these videos where you've got, say, comedian on stage, then a shot of the audience with the audience
Yeah,
actually laughing,
yeah,
and then sort of like the person, yeah, yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And then okay,
yeah,
ad manager. Well, comedy admin gold,
yeah,
shall we say? Yeah, good
yeah.
stuff. So I mean, overall, you feel quite positive about the impact of technology,
I think
then.
so. Yes, I think it is really helping. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 brilliant. Well, moving on from technology, let's slide into our third question, which is the people who've had the biggest impact on your life and comedy. And sometimes they already come up in the first question. You mentioned Jasper Crowden and
Yeah. Yeah.
Laurel and Hardy.
Yeah.
But yeah, anybody else you'd like to give a shout out to
Well,
for?
yeah, absolutely. Well, I think my parents.
Mhm.
Actually, I'm going to start off with,
Yeah.
and that's because when we were off, my parents introduced me to puns,
Okay.
and I love a pun and a dad joke. And I think I learned it off my dad the best way. And my mum loves my jokes, so she's my biggest fan in terms of that. But she
Oh,
doesn't
great.
remember the jokes. She's got Alzheimer's now, but so she
Oh,
won't. So I can do my entire set.
over and over
Every time I
again.
visit her, without get different reactions. But no. So we'd be off on a country walk. My parents would suggest a pun topic such as trees, and tree
Hmm.
puns always stumped me.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, we'd be doing lots of little things. My sister hated puns; she still does. So
Hmm.
she'd be sort of like running ahead or running behind. Me and my parents would be talking about sheep and coming up with jokes about how they fleece us and how we'll
Right.
all flock to all these jokes. And it's terrible, terrible, groan-worthy puns. But so much form part of my sense of humour from an early age, and
Mm,
still does.
brilliant. Yeah, well, it reminds me of a couple of things. One, I remember, I think my dad quite liked puns, and I remember he told me this one when I was quite young, which was that there was a guy who was uh, just punning so heavily all the time that they just like he was driving the town folk mad because of all of these puns, and they just said, no, we're going to lock you up in the prison, and enough, and so they locked him up in the prison, and they said, what have you got to say for yourself now? And he said, oh, pun the door. And they jumped up and down and tore their hair out. And eventually they said, no, because this is your punishment.
Yeah, I was waiting for that one.
But I think it's really interesting. I do some old dad jokes. I defend myself. I'm an old dad. This is my
Yeah,
people. But and I also do some. I like to think some other jokes that are
yeah,
not that those.
yeah,
There is this. What is it that makes one thing a groaner and another thing a fantastic joke? I mean, I still don't know that I really understand where the jokes exist on the spectrum and why one generates a groan versus why another one is like peals of laughter and you're a comedy
yeah.
god.
I think I mean I've listened to a lot of Gary Delaney and Milton Jones
Mm,
podcasts,
right.
and I think the way they describe partly it's if the audience get ahead of you, if the audience
Mm,
expect you, if they've got an idea of what sort of thing you might say and they expect this to be what you're about to say, they're going to
mhm.
groan. It's
Yeah.
like that, yeah. Their brain is working that way. So sometimes you have to get really fast
Hmm.
or divert them in a different direction.
Right.
Really,
Yes.
really distract them so they're not thinking along the same lines as you at all. And
Right.
then suddenly, and that's the point where, oh, I didn't expect that, and that's when the laughter comes.
Yes, and,
So,
and their comedy becomes not dissimilar to a magic trick,
yeah,
which is,
yeah,
in that it's all
yeah,
about that misdirection. If
it
you can
is.
get
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, fascinating, fascinating. Yeah, brilliant. And well, I mean, just well, I guess you've mentioned there. I mean, Gary Delaney and Milton Jones. I was so impressed with Milton Jones's Islamophobia joke. I don't know if you caught that on Mock the Week the other
I
day.
didn't. No, I didn't. I haven't
Oh,
caught that one yet.
he said people often say to me Islamophobia, and I say no, you can be afraid of lambs.
Yeah,
Which was just
yeah,
yeah, it was
yeah,
I
yeah.
very much enjoyed Mock the Week being back
Yeah.
on.
Oh no, I'm looking forward to tonight's episode because Scott Bennett's on and he's going to be brilliant on it. So.
Excellent.
He's a Nottingham-based comedian, and it's his first time on the show. So I know that last on Monday he was testing out all his jokes, and he'd had 2 days to write a load of topical jokes. So he did an hour-long show in Derby.
Wow.
So he's
Brilliant,
a
brilliant.
prolific joke writer.
Yeah, and I'm quite excited that well, I've got some friends in Nottingham. I've got a lot of positive associations with
Yeah,
Nottingham. I'd love to come up and I mean, we
yeah,
must have you down to our
yeah,
London
oh, yeah,
gigs, and
absolutely.
yeah, yeah, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Well, on to then our fourth question, which is like, how do drugs affect your perception of reality? And of course, it's a lot of people are like, oh, drugs. It's like we don't necessarily mean illegal drugs. It could be prescription drugs or just any substances. There's lots of things like caffeine and alcohol and so on.
Yeah.
It's sort of we've talked about, the people that, impact your life, the technology that impacts your life. What about substances? Is your body a temple? How does it all
No, my
work in?
body. I'm drinking a substance right now. It's a coffee,
Aha.
actually. And that's partly I'm drinking that because I was drinking another substance last night, which
Uh,
left me a bit tired. So
right, right.
it had a murder mystery party, and we were drinking wine. And then when the cheese course came out, I thought I've got a bottle of port. So I thought we might as well drink that as well. So yeah,
Yes, yes. Well, that old
yeah,
combo, the alcohol. Yes, I
yeah,
mean it's a it's so easy to fall into that. And I had to for many years of overindulging on the alcohol and then to compensate overindulging on the coffee. It's
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Well, this is my first coffee of the day, so I don't think it's going to be a major issue. I had a couple of cups of tea earlier on, and the only issue I'm going to have is when the cat tries to wake me up at 4 o'clock in the morning, I might be saying, nope, nope,
Right.
not getting up yet.
Oh. Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, those are. I think these days, my main drug of perception, change in reality, is red wine.
Oh, right.
I, Obviously, when I'm out in a pub, it will be beer. If I
Hmm.
have enough beer, it might be something to make me more sober, which could be Red Bull, it could be cocaine.
Uh-huh.
So, in fact, what I used to find was that I loved the socializing with my friends so much, but I hated the feeling of getting really drunk.
Hmm.
That, but obviously, you drink beer whilst you're socializing, it becomes a thing.
Hmm.
And then when I started introducing cocaine or ecstasy into that, I go, actually, I can then carry on drinking and match your drinking, and we can extend our drinking session into 36 hours of absolute amazing time
Hmm.
without me feeling drunk.
Oh, wow.
And then suddenly it all hit me and everything. But so yes, that was my drug of choice for a while.
Hmm.
Before that, I was a raver.
Right.
I loved my rave scene,
Oh, yeah.
and so from the late mid '90s, really from about '96 onwards,
Hmm.
uh, that's when I discovered ecstasy.
Hmm.
I wasn't like I'm not the scientist who discovered it. No, it's just
Hmm.
friend came up to the university I was at and said, "Guess what I've got." I'd been on speed before then. I wasn't overly fussed about speed. It was again
Yeah.
that way too sober a drug. You
Uh-huh.
know that literally just gives you energy and
Right.
nothing else.
Hmm.
Ecstasy gives you a completely different perception. It's like it's a glowing perception of reality. Everything's fun.
Hmm.
So other ones, mushrooms.
Hmm.
I was at Canada for a year. I went over to Canada for a year,
Hmm.
and the magic mushrooms over there were really good. I was at
Hmm.
university. A friend said, "Let's do some," and these friends were sort of in the halls of residence, so we were doing them, and I was laughing my head off harder than I have ever laughed my head off before,
Hmm.
and I was absolutely loving it. And we spent about 4 or 5 hours of non-stop laughing, and so just everything seemed funny.
Yes. Yes,
So,
indeed.
so that was it. But I've tried them in England, and they're more psychoactive. So I remember
Okay.
doing them in England, and I was doing it while we're camping, and
Hmm.
I suddenly saw trees starting to walk around the field.
Really?
So the trees turned into ents, and that's when I went,
Uh-huh.
Tolkien. Tolkien must have loved mushrooms. That explains all of the Lord of the Rings. That's it.
Yes.
That was his perception of reality. He'd never
Yes.
admitted the fact he used to take magic mushrooms, did he?
Uh, yes. Well, it's interesting. There is a very it's throughout the sort of psychedelic literature the like sort of plant entities and sort of consciousnesses and so on. There's are you familiar with an author called Robert Anton Wilson?
I'm not actually, no.
No, he was
Uh,
sort of like sort of around the time of Timothy Leary in the States,
yeah.
and he wrote this thing called the Illuminati trilogy, and yeah, there was I mean like there's something very interesting going on with plants there and those things. Yeah, well, it sounds like you've had a huge range of different experiences there, and do you think that that's opened your mind in terms of creativity? Have you seen beyond the veil, or is it all just like a sort of like a a mild diversion from the cold hard reality?
I think it's more of a mild diversion, especially when you mix beer in with it. It's a number of times where I've had amazing nights in a club. I come out knowing I've had an amazing time. The fresh air hits me. I can't remember the last 4 or 5 hours at all
Mm,
until I look
mm,
at the photos and go, "Oh, I was gurning a little bit, wasn't I, last night?"
mm, mm, mm,
So, so yeah. It's not, I wouldn't say they help with creativity at all. Not for
okay.
me. They're very much a distraction,
Okay.
or they're enhancing. So I suppose if there was a drug of choice to help with creativity, coffee, hot chocolate. Sometimes it's not really
Mm,
got much in it, but it's got a bit of energy out of it, the sugar and the warmth. I've had that before. I do a writing session before now. Have a nice warm hot chocolate gets me in the mood.
oh, really? Okay. Interesting. Hot chocolate.
I think I read about that somewhere. I can't remember where it was. It was on. I can't remember if it was something Gary Delaney suggested, or was it John Cleese suggested, or something about this. It's like sitting down, clearing your desk, making sure you're all ready to do the creative, but making sure you've got a hot drink ready. And I think it's
Mm,
John Cleese has then said, "Yes, have a hot chocolate because it's got the
mm,
energy, it's sweet, it gets you in the mood, and it becomes
interesting.
part of a nice routine. It's a reward for sitting down and doing the work."
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, what a comprehensive run through all the different substances.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. And of course, for all the listeners, do be careful. There's all
Oh,
sorts of substances out there. Just like your mileage may vary on what you're having on all of it.
yeah, I think it's become less, less aware of what's actually in them these days.
Right.
Back in the 90s, if you bought a ecstasy pill, you knew full well it was going to be a strong ecstasy pill. Now
Mm,
it's can cut with all sorts of stuff
mm,
as well,
mm,
isn't
mm,
it? And you buy them online instead. So, difference between buying a dealer, looking them in the eye as you're buying
mm,
it, seeing how much they're girding and going, that's a good one.
mm, mm,
Now
mm.
just ordering it online and just arriving in a little postal package.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think it's you know all of these. I mean, it's a question about which substances get to be legal and regulated, and then there's a whole framework for their purity, and then other things which have decided to be illegal,
Yeah,
and then like okay, you're basically rolling the dice on what you're
yeah,
getting, which is can
yeah.
be very dangerous. But yeah, well, I mean, this sort of like maybe slide into the next question because I'm interested in how this connects is about what does it all mean, this life, this
Mm.
universe, this everything? I mean, and some people say that's like a ridiculous question for middle class people, or, it could be just like, what's the meaning, for you personally? But I'm also interested in what is the bigger meaning? Is this some simulation that we're living in? I mean, I would want to connect it to what you mentioned about when you were saying like being on ecstasy and having this sort of glowing, fun feeling. I mean, I think that there are sort of mental states when you meditate. Like I was sort of trying to like be in the moment in the garden today and in the sunlight, and I think there's kind of like you can feel a kind of connected to, and I wasn't on any particular substance other than having had some tea earlier in the
Yeah,
in the morning. Like I wonder sometimes if some of these substances are able to quiet the mental noise so that you can't like it's not that the world is hard and cold and awful, it's that we're kind of like distracted by our thoughts,
yeah.
and so we can't see the beauty in the world. I don't know.
Yeah.
Where are you on all this stuff?
Well, I think I do. Well, I used to do quite a lot of running. I need to get back into it, and that
Mm.
can be really cathartic as well.
Oh, yes.
Again, when you do it properly, you reach that almost meditative state within
Mm,
running. So you're focusing on your breathing and the steps and everything, and then you're getting all the hormones coming through and all the dopamines coming in,
mm, mm,
and it can be, I might have to run for like 15 minutes before you start getting any of this sensation. Before that, it's pain,
mm,
pain, pain, and suddenly you go, this feels good. I feel
mm,
sort of like I feel
mm,
normal. I feel alive, and again, that's where you really start quieting the thoughts. Doesn't completely quieten them.
mm.
Again, I'll be stopping on the run half the time to come up with a new topper for a joke, and I'll think I'm out of breath. I can't record this. We're going to have to stop and write it.
Right, right.
So, but obviously, what the actual answer is to life, the universe, and everything. 42.
Yeah,
I'm
indeed,
sorry.
many,
It's the only possible answer, isn't it? I grew up reading all the Douglas Adams books, and then went on
likewise.
from there to read all the Terry Pratchett books. So, uh, as
Yeah,
well. So,
yeah, yeah. But it's interesting what you said about running. We had Gareth Beavis on the podcast not so long ago, and he was talking about, his addiction to comedy was a bit like his addiction to running. Although he was saying in both cases he wasn't actually sure why he was doing either of them. He was saying that he never got that running high, but it was just like it was a framework. It was for health. He just sort of did it. I have this thing that I've been doing with my running for the last 10 years, where I'm pretty much always listening to a podcast in a kind of like multitasking. I must be like leveling up on this is in my like technology job to like learn about the latest technology. And I wonder if I'm sort of like preventing myself from like accessing some nice space that I would be in if I wasn't bombarding myself with thoughts and concepts when I'm running. Yeah. But
yeah, I think it's definitely worth taking it on. I used to listen to music while I was running. Especially when I was starting, it was helped with me pacing when I was doing the park run.
mm,
I
mm,
knew that each song I was exactly 5 minutes long, so I didn't have a good enough watch at that point. So
mm,
I could
mm.
work out all the pacing just from that. If this song comes on, it means you've got to really speed up because you're under your PB times with pacing. So it was worth doing. But then once I got into the running, I've ditched listening to music at all. It
Right.
just distracts me.
Mm,
I want to
mm,
actually focus on the running and the birds singing, and uh, you know, again, it might be more difficult to do actually in central London.
mm.
But if you can get around, I mean, you've got Hyde Park and you've got some of the other nice parks in London to get round, and the hills there
Yeah, yeah.
are
No, well,
quite
I'm
good.
I'm out in the northwest, and I mean the run that I usually do takes me like it's Headstone Manor, and I can get out, and I mean or getting there is often a bit noisy with the
Yeah,
road and so on, but
yeah,
there's, but
yeah,
on that note of the birds singing, I mean like today and yesterday the weather's been nice, and I've been
yeah.
sitting in the garden and listening to the bird song, and there is some. I mean I'm you know, busy so much of the time trying to see if I can quieten my thoughts. Like I find that I've basically got a mental engine running almost continuously, and if I can, like get that to stop, there's actually quite a nice place that I can appreciate. But do you find yourself like overwhelmed by your thoughts, or you seem a kind of laid back kind of guy. You're like sort of
I,
pretty chill, really.
I'm fairly chill, but yes, there are times I get overwhelmed by my thoughts, and that's where Facebook and doom scrolling, whatever, that distracts me, and that's why sometimes I find that in the showers when I can actually really
Mm.
think because suddenly I don't have that distraction.
Mm.
But I
Mm.
use an app to help me sleep sometimes.
Oh yeah.
It's the Calm app, so it's a meditation app.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
what I find is that certainly my cat wakes me up for breakfast quite early.
Mm-hmm.
But as a comedian who works late nights, I don't want to be woken up that early. But
Mm-hmm.
she gets very insistent. So it's like, right, easiest thing to do, wake up, feed her, let her out. I'll be up for about half an hour, scrolling through Facebook, feeding her, getting her back in.
Mm-hmm.
Then it takes me another half hour to get back to sleep. That's when I use meditation app and I
Right.
just go and listen to it because that's when all my thoughts are rushing and you're thinking about all these different things about what you should be doing, what's coming up for today, what promotion you should be doing, whether that video last night you put out is working yet. All
Mm-hmm.
these thoughts start rushing in because there's nothing to distract you. But I put a meditation app on which tells me how to do the deep breathing. I know all the routines, but this forces me to try to listen to it, and that works quite well. So the box breathing is a really good
Yeah.
technique I use within that.
Mm.
Uh, in fact, I adapt. There's two different ones I've listened to, and I try to combine the both. So as one person would tell me how to breathe one way, I think, yeah, but if I combine that with box breathing, as well as making certain the breath out is longer, so it's an extended box breathing I am doing,
Mm.
it actually doubles up the effect and calms me a bit quicker and gets my mind focused on things much quicker.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, fascinating. Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, well, recently they had like at work they had a breathing course thing, or like that we did, and they talked about box breathing and those other things. It's that's really interesting. It's interesting. You were saying like the scrolling the FB, like, actually to get away from the thoughts, and often what I'm finding is I like yeah like I will I find often like the messages and the social media apps and so on, they kind of like they cause more thoughts. If I want to get away from thoughts, I tend to put on a podcast. I feel like if I'm listening to a podcast, it's not really shutting off my thought, or at least
Yeah.
I instead of having my thoughts, I'm having the thoughts of the people who are talking on the podcast. I find that
Yeah.
more relaxing than scrolling on Facebook. But
I find that with podcasts, I need to be doing something while listening to a podcast.
oh, sure,
So I need to be driving or doing some
yeah,
housework. If I'm just sat there listening to a podcast, I'm going, what else can I be doing? I'll be scrolling on my phone at that point, and then suddenly you're distracted from the
oh
podcast.
yeah,
You have
no,
to
no,
rewind
focus
the
on the
podcast
podcast.
and everything. So
Yes,
it's like,
yes, no, no,
so,
absolutely. I mean, the I don't think I'm ever listening to a podcast and not doing something else.
yeah.
It's and then that then it's the running or the stretching, or I'm doing the house chores or whatever they happen to be. Yeah, yeah. But just to bring us, I mean, actually, I think it's the last. We had both. Was it? Well, I don't know. Certainly, the last few comedians have all mentioned the 42, and I think we're all big fans of
Yeah.
Douglas Adams. Also, Tay Pratchett. I don't know if you've
Yeah.
read his Dark Side of the Sun, which I think is a
Oh
really
yes, yes, yes.
interesting one on consciousness that I've been trying
Yeah.
to get my kids to read. Um, but in terms of this, do you have an opinion on the wider, like was the nose sneezed out of a god, a god's nostrils, and we're awaiting the great coming of the
Uh,
great white handkerchief, or
oh,
like is it a random thing? We're alone in the
oh,
in a cold
I,
and uncaring cosmos.
I, it's quite a difficult one. But, I mean, I was actually brought up as a Christian. My mum was a very strong Christian, so
Oh,
she
really?
always took me to church, and I
Okay.
carried on going to church for a lot longer because I wanted to spend time with my mum, and she got the benefit out of me accompanying her.
Uh-huh.
Uh, whereas my dad was an atheist,
Okay.
uh, uh, and much more of a free thinker.
Hmm.
Was his viewpoint.
Yeah.
Whereas my grandparents were Quakers again, and also
Okay.
got a completely different style of, it's almost like you let the cosmos speak to you as a Quaker. So the
Mm.
meetings are very quiet, and you just sit there waiting until
Right.
you're prompted to say something. It's like
Mm.
the Holy Spirit saying it, but it's not. Yeah, it's not following the Bible per se.
Yes,
So it's
yes,
like
yes.
so. So I and then I studied genetics at university, so I
Mhm.
studied sort of like the origins of life and
Right, right.
how that happened, and
Mm.
again, all these little bacteria just swimming around, and how that then developed into sort of like multicellular organisms, and it doesn't appear to be a design.
Mm. Mm.
It appears to be by far more by chance. So
Hmm.
when you look at the history of the world and the extended ice ages and the fact there's a number of extinction events we've actually had. So how did we actually get here? Was it by luck?
Hmm.
Are we alone in the universe? No. Can we make sense of any other species in the universe to be on any other? Probably not. It's not
Mm.
going to be life like we know it. So I don't know if you've seen the new film. Was it Proud Mary or Opera?
Oh,
Or was
Hail
it
Mary.
Hail Mary? Operation Hail Mary. I saw it at the cinema last week, and they
Mm.
finally it's got an alien which isn't like a human.
Right, brilliant.
It's one of it's actually a silicon-based alien
Mm.
life form. They've got
Mm.
similarities in ways, but they're also thinking about things in a very different way. And I'm
Mm.
thinking,
Mm.
okay, finally, we're actually thinking, yeah, any alien species, would we even recognize it as life?
Indeed, indeed, absolutely. What a fantastic set of different things kind of coming
Yeah,
together in
yeah.
you. But and does that like for you? I'm just interested, like in your mission, is it like to have fun yourself or to bring joy? Like it like every morning you're getting up. Is it just to earn a living? What
Oh,
drives you forward? What gets you up in the morning apart from the cat?
what the hell about to say the cat is the main thing, really. I think no, it's to help other people in a way.
Oh yeah.
I've worked as a nurse and a social worker for
Mm.
20 years, and that was entirely focused on helping children with disabilities and their parents in some format. And now I'm helping comedians in a different way.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm doing it for my own benefit as well.
Yeah.
I'm basically helping comedians to entertain me.
Yes. Right. Helping
So
comedians to entertain you or
yeah,
entertain.
absolutely. Well, entertain other people, but quite
Right.
frankly, I've booked a night. I've paid for all these comedians. They're turning up. I'm going to be laughing. So I win out at the end of it. And in order
Yeah.
to make me laugh more, I need other people to laugh with me. So I need to then build an audience.
Yes.
So
Yes.
so it's all focused on partly me having fun, but other people having fun. So I'm creating
Yeah.
this like party atmosphere so that people can come along and enjoy it with me.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. Yeah. Well, it reminds me of actually there was articles a couple of years ago about comedians on the NHS with the idea of comedians coming in and doing workshops in the context of NHS to help people who, with different sort of mental health issues. I mean, I think there is a lot to be said for the community that we get out of being involved in comedy and like all, putting on nights. And I mean, I haven't gone as far as starting, sort of the writing things that you're doing sound really interesting. That's really cool. Yeah, and yeah, and that. Well, what a wonderful mission, and yeah, it's I guess whether the universe has got some other big plan or not. That's you're not bothered really. Like you've
Well,
got your mission. It's a,
well,
it's
yeah, you got to make people happy in some way. Well,
mm.
I'm doing my little part to make other people happy. So in a way, I'm still working mental health. So, so
Brilliant.
that's it. So as long as I'm having a bit of fun alongside it, yeah, it's win-win.
Win-win, win-win, fantastic. Well, what a wonderful conversation, Denzel. It's been absolutely great. I know that our one listener, Bert, is busy pounding his hands on the tabletop of wherever he is, where he's cutting meat for some reason. I know.
Okay.
Hopefully, all organic, free range.
Yeah, do it safely, Bert. That knife is very sharp.
Absolutely. But to Denzel, Bert will want to come and see you and follow you. And where should he go on the teaming interwebs, or indeed in the real meat space, in order to see more of your comedy?
Oh, the best place to go to do that is on Instagram is Denzil Does Comedy. That's
Hmm.
Denzil. Unlike Denzel Washington, who's
Right.
misspelled my name and ruined my life. But yeah, so yeah, that's probably the best place for Instagram. I'm on Facebook as well as Denzil de Cristo, or follow my comedy club, which is Den of Laughs.
Den of Laughs.
Yeah, so you
Brilliant.
can find that on Facebook, Instagram, and I've got a website as well. So,
Excellent.
and that's where I'm going to be putting more videos as well as I develop them.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thanks everyone. Remember, you can help support comedians on technology, people, and drugs by going to our Facebook group. Well, I say Facebook group. I mean, like recently, it's all I'm putting stuff on Instagram. It's posting it to my thing. I haven't been pushing it to the Facebook group. Really, what we want is you to basically follow us on Spotify. That's the key thing. Follow us on Spotify and ask questions or comments there. I know a lot of people are enjoying the podcast. We'd love to hear your thoughts too, and we look forward to being in your ears again real soon. Last word to our fantastic guest, Denzil de Cristo.
So I used to be in a rock band. We toured the Far East, Singapore. Drummer was shit too.